Welcome to another episode of Who What Now Gaming, the podcast for consumers by consumers, where we ask the questions: what got you into gaming? No, it isn't. Who are you? What got you into gaming? And what kind of gamer are you now? I am your host, Josh Stewart, and today I am so happy to have Evan here with me. He's a great friend. Known him for quite some time now. And actually one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
Yeah. So hi, Evan.
Wow.
How you doing?
Hey, Josh.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's kind of introduce you to the show to everybody, and then we'll really dive in here.
Well, first of all, Josh, what an honor it is to be here. This is so cool. I don't want to say this without sounding condescending, but I am very proud of you. This is fucking cool, man. You
Thanks.
really put a lot of work into this.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey. I try not to let it build my ego too much,
but we'll keep you in check. Don't worry.
Yep, that's what my wife does. That's what she's for.
So yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, thank you for being here. As I've told you before, this is the show where we basically just dive into the stories behind gaming. We discuss a lot about how the gaming community is presented by a lot of I would say influencers or influence-like people who really have gotten the idea that everything needs a review or everything needs some form of topic concept. And I personally feel that we have kind of lost sight on what gaming really was or what it really meant to us. And I always like to ask the question, like, what was the first game that really like got you into gaming? Like, what turned you into a gamer? What was that moment? Do you remember?
Wow. What got me into gaming? Jeez, I mean, probably some kind of video game, right? I mean, I don't know. Got me into gaming. I feel like I should have an answer to that right away. But
no, that's totally fine. So for me, I've talked about it before.
Oh yeah, give me an example.
Yeah,
Here we
so
go. Answer your own question for me.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda
Classic.
is an absolute classic. But it was, to me, it was the first game that I ever got to play that was real open world. It was free. It was free feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Every choice that I made was earned by something that I, completed, or getting to the end boss was something that I did on my own. There were no, ways to conveniently look up answers or solutions to puzzles or how to beat a boss or to find all of the heart pieces, and so you really just had to wander and figure these things out, and you really had to pay attention to the notes and stuff. And I think it really it presented a strong world building platform for me to really enjoy. And from that point on, I've always looked for games that are very open world esque, like, Baldur's Gate 3, which was an absolute massive success. Mass Effect, which we've talked about with Noah. There are many absolute, open space, free roam type of games that I personally are always driven to. We actually talked about the Lord of the Rings series, the Middle Earth Shadow of War. One of my favorite games.
Great game.
I go back to it at least once a year. Actually, since we did the last episode, I have been just playing it nonstop. It's still hands down one of my absolute favorite games. But it was those types of designs that really grew that love for that type of style that I consider to be my absolute favorite games.
Okay, interesting. That makes sense. So I guess as you were talking, gave me a chance to think. Thank you. So I think my first console. Okay.
Yeah, just punch the mic. No big deal.
No, yeah. Okay. My first console was Sega Genesis. It was actually a gift for my older sister, but in a short matter of time, it was more or less my console. And so I played a lot of that, and those games were freaking hard. And there's no saving. If you get up to like World 5 and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and you lose all your lives, well, you're not starting back at level 5. You're going back to the
Right.
beginning. So I think that like repetition and kind of overcoming these like really difficult segments and like playing them enough times that they become like second nature almost, where I think that I learned that that's actually a lot of fun to like persevere
Mm-hmm.
and keep at it and try to eventually beat these games. Didn't actually beat a lot of them on the Genesis. So it was too hard.
No.
But I think that gave me an appreciation for games today that are kind of difficult and gives me that sense of satisfaction when I like can finally beat it, and
Yeah.
get see the end credits on a really difficult game.
Absolutely. Did you mentioned like Sonic? Did you play a lot of Sonic?
Oh heck yeah, man! I
Yeah.
had 1 and 2, and definitely rented from Blockbuster, Sonic and Knuckles. So I played a lot of them.
So I genuinely have a question about
Okay.
that. I have tried my hand at Sonic, and each time it gives me so much anxiety because everything is moving so fast that
Yeah.
I basically inadvertently have a panic attack, and then like I could never get very far into them because everything is so fast paced. But I've seen like I think there's a great documentary on Netflix that they even talk about how they had a competition where people were playing it over and over and over to find the best paths to take to get either the most coins or to finish a level in like
Are
that
we
kind of speed.
sound like we're
Like
talking about proto speedrunners here?
probably, I mean, it was massive. I think actually in the documentary, I think they say that they held it at uh oh man as oh man not Azkaban, that's Harry Potter. Alcatraz, there you go. It was one
Alcatraz.
of the A ones, like the prison, yeah.
That's so. Hey, let's all take everybody to this spooky old prison to
Yeah, I
play
didn't say
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I didn't say it was a good idea. I don't know the thought process through it, but
How are those things related?
I have no idea.
The
But
'90s was a weird time.
yeah, they put everybody on a ferry and they're like, we're gonna play video games in an old prison. So there you go. Yeah,
If you don't beat Dr. Robotnik, you stay on the island.
yeah, dude, it's pretty intense. But yeah, like I always had like these. It was too fast paced for
Well,
me. Like, did
that's
you?
blast core processing, man. That's the
Yeah.
Sega Genesis. It do what Nintendo don't,
Damn.
or something like that.
That's
But
pretty good.
yeah, actually, oddly enough, Sonic is, I think, designed to be a fast game. Obviously, you got to go
Yep.
fast, but that's not how I played it. I think I would take my time and just like hug every wall, just like full of all
Yeah.
these little like secret little rooms and stuff that are just like you happen to go through a wall and there's a one up in there and like a buttload of coins. No, not coins, rings.
Yeah.
So
better get that right.
don't come at me, Sonic fans. um, so yeah, actually, yeah, I really liked, even though it's not an open world game, it did feel like there was a sense of discovery and like exploration in those games. So like, it's really cool to zip through the loops and go through little corkscrews and fly all around. But like, I I needed to find every single ring and every little power up there was. So yeah, I guess not playing Sonic as intended, but
But see, that's kind of the point almost, that you found a different way than even I would play it, or so like the speedrunners or such, and but it gave you that level of joy that
mhm.
I think we are severely almost missing these days. But you
Yeah,
you did
I
make
agree. I
me
think we're all missing a little joy.
you did kind of remind me of something there. Like Sonic is very difficult, in my opinion. Probably not to a lot of people, but it's a pretty difficult game. It was designed to be difficult.
Hmm.
And I know that you have a strong love for the Dark Souls games,
Oh
which
yeah.
are also arguably incredibly difficult.
Oh yeah, a little bit, a little bit.
So at what point did you think, hey, I have to just absolutely cause myself the worst headaches and just dive into Dark Souls?
I heard Dark Souls like a cool game. I didn't really know that much about it, and I think a friend of mine actually got it for me on like Xbox 360, and picked it up, started playing it, and it was cool. I was like, oh man, look at this. I'm gonna go over to see what these spooky skeletons are doing over in the graveyard, and just got like slaughtered immediately. Turns out that's
Yeah.
not where you're supposed to go. Um, but that like the repetition, like I was talking about, you find the right way to go, and if you spend time looking around in Dark Souls, you're gonna find that like that weapon that's just a little bit better than the one you got, give you the edge to come back and beat those little skeletons.
So have you beat all the Dark Souls
Oh
games?
no, I've played a lot of 1 and 2 and good bit of 3, but I've just kind of fell off of 3 for some reason.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't like it or anything. Actually, 3 I think looked cool. Like the world is super fun
Mm-hmm.
to poke around and explore, but I don't know, for whatever reason I just stopped playing it, and that's kind of how it goes with some games where I'll
Yeah.
just like love it and play it for months, and then for no real reason just stop. And
Yeah, other things come up and life. But I think the first one I still feel like is the most classic, like the raw form of the game. Yeah, obviously it was the first, like my first experience. I always have to play the games chronologically, even if like the third one's coming out and I haven't played it yet, so I got to go back to the first one.
mm-hmm.
And I remember like going through and discovering everything, and it took me so long to realize that like I had to get up to, like, I think it was like a church or a cathedral of some sort, but you had to like get up to the roof to fight the gargoyle looking thing,
Oh, yep.
and just like pure exploration in that game was phenomenal. But then I feel like 2 was more almost designed in a, if you could say, like an open world platform. Like it almost seemed like it was almost too well divided into like levels in a
Yeah,
way.
it definitely has more of a feel of going to a level. I think because you can like teleport around the bonfires
Right.
from the beginning, whereas that
Right.
was like a huge, breakthrough in Dark Souls 1. Like, whoa, I can teleport, I don't have to walk all the way
Right.
through anymore. But I think Dark Souls 2 kind of has a bad rap, but and that might be my favorite one actually.
Really.
I put a lot of hours into it, and just like I think it because maybe it is kind of like segmented almost, I was able to like break it down to like section by section, just totally clear it out, explore everything, and then move
Mm,
on to the next location.
yeah.
And they even had that thing where if you defeated the same enemy like a certain number of times, it would totally despawn. So like,
I didn't even know
no,
that.
yeah, it's like some number of like 15, 20 times or something, but if you beat that enemy that number of times, they stop respawning. So like I would
Huh.
segments where I would just grind or explore. There wouldn't hardly be any enemies left in it.
Man, I didn't even know that was a thing you could do.
Yep.
Ah, man.
Yeah, they'd made some interesting choices for Dark Souls too.
Yeah, the first one I remember being like it was a game where I legitimately rage quit. Like I don't ever rage quit in games. Like I'm just like, hey man, I'm just tired. I guess this is it. But there were times where I'm like, this game is stupid. Like I can't play
Yeah.
this thing. And I think the most frustrating part of that entire experience was that, and this is before I knew that like that was a trope in Dark Souls games, is that you start the game with zero information
Mm.
about anything.
Right. Yeah.
They're like, hey, this is how you move, this is how you swing. Go get him, Tiger. And
Yep.
you're like, what am I doing here? And you're like, you'll figure it out.
Ring the bells.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Why? And they're like, you'll figure it out. And you're like, great. And then like you see like years later, people are like talking about the story. I'm like, there's a story to this?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about, man?
Somewhere
Like
in there is a story.
there's a lore, and then like I got to a point where I thought I beat the first one to find out that like I wasn't even at the halfway point. Like you had to go back to the beginning to find some like moment that would like change the map slightly or something. It was like some weird, I think it was like a slug person thing or whatever that would like take you down below. You know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah. That
Yeah, and
that,
I'm
that
like,
freak with the big chompers.
yeah,
Yeah.
I never saw that in many of my playthroughs, but I was like, I guess I just never got far enough. But
Hmm.
eventually I just got frustrated enough where I was like, on to the second game. Like just move on.
Like I get Dark Souls 1.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Yeah,
I'm like,
okay.
I get the feel for it. I don't feel like I need to beat this to really, get the full enjoyment. And then 2, I liked, but I think it wasn't until 3 that I think I really started enjoying it. Unfortunately, I didn't beat a single Dark Souls-esque game until Elden Ring.
Which I have not played at all, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta get on that. That is a
on my
fantastic
list.
game.
That's when I'm retired, I'll have time.
Yeah. That
And then I'll
game,
play Elden Ring.
yeah, that one almost won. If I'm not mistaken, almost won Game of the Year a few times, and I think it was then beaten again by Baldur's Gate 3. Probably wrong. Don't quote me on it. But Baldur's Gate 3, man, that one won Game of the Year in like 7 categories or something. Like, fantastic.
Yeah,
But,
that one also, that's on my list of games to play someday.
well, you'll really like that one because you are also a Dungeons and Dragons fan.
Yeah, occasionally.
Yep. Are you still running your game? Or is that one kind of teetered off a little bit?
I'm running it a lot in my head.
Yeah. I mean, aren't we? That is like the major downfall to Dungeons and Dragons is that you do more gameplay in your head than you do actually scheduled, games.
Yeah, I think it's maybe been a year plus at this point since we've all sat down and played the campaign I was running.
Yeah.
But I still think about it every day.
I bet.
Coming up with ideas like, ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Even our game, you were in one of my games, and that one went on for over a year, and then eventually just life got in the way, and we just kind of teetered off of there. But those were the best,
for sure. Like I love games, video games. Obviously, like I had so much fun playing them. But then Dungeons and Dragons is like a whole new level of fun. It's just like the most fun I've had playing a game was definitely playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
As a player and then also as a DM, they're like super fun and rewarding in different ways.
I'm gonna share this one because I don't think I've talked about it yet. But I remember you coming over and we had like a game night or something, and we were just playing board games or something, and it was like at the end of the night. And then you were like, wouldn't it be crazy if we got into like Dungeons and Dragons? And I'm like, oh, that super nerdy game. And you're like, yeah, it'd be crazy. I'd be like, yeah, it'd be stupid. You're like, yeah, it'd be so wild if we played it. And then we're like, I mean, we should probably try it, right? And we're like, yeah, well, let's get together. And then like from that point on, it just spawned this obsession of Dungeons and Dragons. And it's like all because of that goofy little, oh, it'd be really funny if we got into it.
Yeah,
kind of thing,
I remember that night exactly. Perhaps you remember my first ever character I played.
Always. I base a reoccurring character that comes up in every one of my characters based off of the voice of your original like Morty sounding NPC.
Now I'm thinking about perhaps you remember a certain simple apple farmer just
yeah
coming. Oh, that's the guy.
The voice is I have a character Swimble who is based off of a variation of that voice that you used as the very first time we ever sat down to play, and it has been a reoccurring thing that is constantly in my mind every time I play D&D.
So when we that game night we played Sheriff of Nottingham, you remember? And so
yeah,
I don't remember exactly, but you have to like try to smuggle some contraband past the sheriff. And
yeah.
I was like, so we're playing, and I come up with this. I'm gonna be this little apple farmer guy, and he's just a simple little guy. He's trying to sell his sweet juicy fruits in Nottingham, but got one by the sheriff because underneath those apples there was a whole bunch of contraband, real nasty stuff.
I still have that one. It's on the game shelf down here, and that game is just a game where you lie to your friends
right
for about 45 minutes. Like there is no other point. You just say, what do you got in the bag? And you go, I got like 3 apples. And they're like, bullshit. And then they're like, nah, now you got to pay for it.
So yeah, being a sneaky little apple farmer was like the
Yeah,
first character I played. I was like, hey, you know what? That was pretty fun.
yeah,
I think D&D, you like play a character, right? Maybe. And so
yeah,
that
dude.
was it.
You did love that game. That was I had the strategy. I don't know if you remember. I said I'm gonna tell the truth the entire game, and
Idiot.
it did not land me a victory. People were just like, "Oh, that honest guy. Like, we'll just let him do whatever he wants." You know, like I was like, it's a whole game about lying. And I'm like, why would I lie? Because that would be the the strategy to go for. But no, it didn't do anything. Man, board games. That was where I was at all before D&D.
Yeah,
But
we did a lot of that back getting together with our lovely wives. Shout outs to Sweet Lady D and Corinne.
yep, I'm trying to get the wife to eventually get on here, but she's not really. She's more of a reader and less of a gamer. But she supports it, so I take it. I accept it. So, getting back into like early games, um, where has that journey taken you today? Where, like, what type of, or I guess, what kind of gamer are you at this point?
That's interesting because I think for a long time I was kind of like a completionist kind of gamer.
Oh yeah.
And so like I had to get like every achievement on every stupid Xbox 360 game I had, even
Mm,
if I wasn't even having fun anymore. It was just like, gotta get that, check off that item on the list.
yeah, you gotta do the grind.
So like, I would, every game I play, I try to max everything out, find everything. And up until just recently, I think I've kind of broken myself of that, and it's it's been really
Nice.
nice.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
bet. Yeah.
because time is just not what it used to be. I used to have
Yeah.
time to sit down and actually find everything there is to find in a game, but not so much anymore. Time's limited, so I've really enjoyed run based games recently, where I can kind of play them in short bursts
Oh,
and
okay.
usually there's like you're working towards some kind of overall progression. Like after a run, maybe you get a couple extra points into something that'll carry over. But like I feel like that allowed me to have less of an emphasis on the perfect playthrough. Whereas part of like a roguelike game is you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna fail. It's just
Of
built
course, right.
into it. And so that style of gameplay, I think it's been a nice change for me.
Mm-hmm.
So like right now I'm playing a game called Against the Storm, where it's like
Oh.
a weird like city builder roguelike where you're like building this like settlement with these funny little fantasy folk, and you're
Okay.
building up a town. But the thing is, like, it can only go on for so long. So like storm comes and just wipes everything clean. So you get like
Oh.
the the first 30 minutes of like a city builder was like you're planning everything out, it's all fun, you're putting in new buildings, but then none of that like
And then
stretched
the game
out.
just wipes it out. And they're like, no, do it
Right.
again.
Yep. But turns out that's a great gameplay loop, and it's difficult. So like I used to always like save scum in games, like Fallout, for instance, like Fallout 3. I would save
Man.
constantly. Oh, I would like try to pick a lock, failed it. No,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just revert that save,
Yeah.
and just over and over. And so it would take me like hundreds of hours to beat just like the main quest. But now I'm more able to just, if I fail, whatever, I'll take another crack at it. No big deal.
Yeah. As much as I want to say that I'm like the that tip top shape gamer kind of guy, but man, when I play Baldur's Gate 3, that first run that I went through,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not going to save scum at all.
Okay.
And then I was like 3 hours in, I was like, that's not how I saw that going. I was like, well, let's just do a little reverse on that one. So now I'm like, I've done like 5 full playthroughs of that. I'm trying to
Wow.
get like all
Okay.
these different endings and stuff, and I feel confident with like the game mechanics and my builds and stuff that I want to go into the honor mode, which is, if you don't know, honor mode is the hardest mode, but it's got a little twist to it. If a character in your party dies, that's it. They're gone.
Okay.
And if you die, the game is run. Your run is done, and the game mode then reverts to custom. So you have to beat the game from level 1 to level 12, all like 180 hours without ever dying once.
Wow. And can you like revert to old saves or
Nope,
no?
you get one
Wow.
save the
Whoa, one
entire game.
save.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy.
So save scumming's not a thing.
Uh-huh.
It keeps everything very brutal, and I mean it's a great title in honor mode. You know,
Hmm.
it's everything. There is no like if you beat it, I wish that there was a better reward or achievement for beating honor mode because it is such a grueling task.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
sounds like it.
you get a set of golden dice. So
Ooh, there you
well
go.
done. Yeah, you did it. You know, but whatever, you know.
Golden virtual dice. They're not mailing you golden dice
No,
right
no,
now.
it's just in game. And I think you get a little thing that pops up that goes, "You nailed it, man." You know?
Worth it for that little dose of endorphins.
Yeah, but so with the game that you're talking about now, so is it kind of like what I immediately thought of was like Stardew Valley or shoot, what's that Nintendo game with
Animal
yeah,
Crossing.
see, you nailed it.
Um,
So is it kind of like that, like same like the building kind of thing, or is this?
it's kind of more along the lines of like a Sim City kind of
Oh,
game.
okay.
So you like you're in a forest and there's like resources. You might find like there's some mushrooms, so you build like a foraging hut to
Mm-hmm.
gather them, and then you can like cut through the forest to find these glades, which are like little clearings, and there could be some more resources in there, or there's like these scarier glades where like might be you have to like have a certain number of resources to achieve this goal, or something bad happens, like you might lose some of your villagers or whatever. So you're laying out a city more or less, and you like different buildings allow you to utilize resources different ways. Like if you find some fertile soil, you can might be able to have a farm, make some wheat, and
Okay.
then make flour, and then you can make pies for everybody, and everybody's happy.
Oh, nice. That seems very generous.
Well, and it's kind of cool because you don't know what buildings you're going to be able to have.
Okay.
So you start the game with like they call them blueprints, 3 blueprints, and it might be like a farm or a distillery, and like a bakery or something. And as you play, you unlock more. So you have like a large pool of buildings, but you're only going to get a certain number of them with each playthrough. So there's a bit of kind of randomness that makes each gameplay session different, where you don't know what resources you're going to have on the map, you don't know what buildings you're going to get, so you kind of have to like maybe change your strategy on the
Mm-hmm.
fly based on what's available to you.
Well, that's cool.
So yeah, you're not playing like any individual person, you're like the overseer of this settlement, so you
Oh, okay.
decide where the buildings go, who does what task and
Mm.
stuff.
So what draws you to this game? Like what excites you about this game that like keeps the the well, I mean basically what keeps you coming back to it?
I think it's the run based nature of it, where I can decide I'm going to play it, and I can play like usually one run through on a settlement will take like an hour or so, and that's a pretty good chunk of time for me. And the way that each time I play, it's going to be a little different, but also you're gaining these this currency to unlock stuff to
Mm-hmm.
like each time you put a point into this, your villagers will move 2% faster.
Nice.
so so the more you play, it gets incrementally easier, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You get unlock these things that will make your settlement runs a little bit more smooth. So you have this long-term progression to work towards, which I love.
Right.
And then, but also it's kind of like bite-sized. So and you don't have to. There's no like. I don't know if there is or not, but I don't play with save scumming. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just one save file. That's it. So even if if settlement fails, I'm still getting maybe a little bit of something. I can get that extra percent
Nice.
increase. So it's a nice mix in that way. It just tickles my brain in a way I
Yeah,
like.
absolutely. And what's this on?
Uh, PC, Steam. Well, I played
Okay,
on
cool.
Steam Deck. Yeah,
Are you a big PC gamer, or do you kind of like?
yeah. That's. I don't really have a PC that's up to the task anymore,
Mm,
but thank goodness for Steam Deck, I've got that. So
hey, nice.
yeah, and
There
I
you
can hook it
go.
up to the TV, have like a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse.
There you go.
So yeah, that's how I do pretty much anything I'm playing. It's on that anymore.
Well, I got a small recommendation from you because that sounds like the um I get almost like the same, like, sit down, be able to play for a little bit. Maybe I don't have as much time as I was expecting, maybe this week or so to like really sit down and sink my teeth into a game. There's a game called I think it's just called Chalice. You heard of this one?
Massive Chalice.
Massive Chalice.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I know the game.
Every
Yeah.
so often I go back to it. It's just like the concept of being able to play for a short amount of time, but still things progress and everything. You kind of collect information as you go.
Mm-hmm.
For those listening, it's a really really good game. It's never expensive whatsoever. I think it's usually like $2 or $3 or something. But Golden Chalice, you play as almost like what, like an entity or something that was kind of like from the beginning of time, that you are now like you are the chalice, or like you're this like spirit stuck in this chalice, and so you kind of progress through time, and then as the kingdoms around you kind of get attacked by this like darkness that's slowly impeding in onto the the center, you kind of do this turn based fighting style. um
It's kind of like, I think they call it like a tactics game. Is it right? It's
yeah,
like on a
yeah,
grid, and
yes.
okay, yeah, I played like a little bit of it, but yeah, it seems like it'd be right up my
Yeah,
alley.
it's really cool, especially once you kind of get into like the mid level time, or like you've put some time into it. You're in like 300-400 years into the game, where like because you start off with your characters and stuff, and then the kingdoms, you kind of pair people up, and then as time progresses, those kingdoms produce heirs to the throne, or the areas around will produce like children who will eventually like grow and enter this like war. It sounds awful, but you gotta just trust me. Get past the morality of it, okay? It's sending like 13, 14-year-old kids into battle, but but as like time progresses, these characters will grow in age, and eventually like they're too old to fight. And sometimes you can kind of skew their like knowledge into doing like more like knowledge based things, or skew them into like strength, or they can be
Hmm.
like a ramming like fighter type of person, or like an archer. There's like an alchemist who like throws like bombs and explosives like type of things and stuff. It's very strategic.
Yeah, I gotta look back into this. I think I may have picked it up on like a humble bundle or something,
Oh,
where you can
probably,
like,
yeah.
get like 20 games for $5, and so
Yeah.
I install them all on Steam and
Yeah.
don't really play them. But yeah, I'll check this one out
Yeah, it's
again.
never been expensive, but I've found myself going back to it time and time again, where it's just I really, it's fun. You get into it, and if you don't make the right decisions, eventually your game just ends because you don't have anybody to fight
Hmm.
left. It's really fun, really really, something you should check out.
And it is turn based, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. I think real time strategy games, like StarCraft, Warcraft, those are fun,
Mhm.
but like it's a little too stressful for me to have to do all this in real time. I like being able to pause, take a deep breath,
Yeah.
analyze what's going on, and then make my decisions.
Well, especially as a parent, I've found myself at a point where I need
Mm.
to I play more pausable games,
Yes. Yep.
like I used to really enjoy sitting down and playing like some Call of Duty or something, but
Hmm.
I mean, like, if your kid falls down or something, you got to make a decision: my KD or my kid's well-being. You know what I mean? Like, these are hard decisions you got to make. But yeah, I find myself now just playing games that I can like pause, because it's also nice that sometimes like I get off work and I just want to play like a little something, and
Hmm.
then by the time I'm into the game, I end up falling asleep or something. It's like,
Right.
but right now, so Fallout came out on Amazon Prime.
That's right. Yeah.
I started watching it,
Okay. What do you
and
think?
I like it. I like it a lot. And the thing that I didn't expect to happen was that it pulled me back into wanting to replay
Hmm.
Fallout games.
Yeah, those
Um,
games do a really good job of like creating this world with little bits of lore hidden all over. If
yeah,
you seek it out, there's like some real interesting stuff to find.
yeah. It does seem to be. I didn't know that there was this much of a divide. But there is a lot of people who stick to their guns on which of the Fallout games were the best.
Hmm. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite before I go and start a war?
So I think the only two I've played would be 3 and New Vegas.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, didn't beat either of them, but spent a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time in those worlds. I think maybe if I had to choose, maybe Fallout 3 I preferred, but I don't know. That I might also be remembering stuff from New Vegas that was actually in 3 and vice versa. They're kind of all one game more or less in my brain.
Well, you definitely hit the you are in the argument level well with everyone else. Mine is Fallout 4,
Okay.
which didn't even make the list of the games that everyone's arguing, which already made me feel like I'm missing out on something. Clearly I've missed something because there's people who say 1, 2, or just because they're classic, and Fallout 3 because of the well developed character and story and stuff. People say that New Vegas was phenomenal because of the again well rounded like character and like your choices and
Hmm.
like how in depth you could get with conversations.
And like the factions are a big
Yeah,
deal in that game. Yeah.
yeah, and then no one mentions 4, and I'm like, why? I enjoyed all of it, but I think it's also because it's the only one that I've played.
Yep.
Um,
That makes sense.
so yeah, I was first introduced to the Fallout series by Fallout 4,
Okay.
and then and I know I said earlier that I always have to go back to the first one and play, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
one of those ones where everybody was like, they're so long, and they're like, you're not missing anything. Just like look up the lore video and then go into playing it because they're all generally connected, but like each game is not connected specifically. You know what I
And
mean?
I'm pretty sure 1 and 2 are clunky as hell anymore. If you
Maybe,
were to
I don't
try to
know.
go back, they're like old computer
Yeah,
games where yeah, like isometric grid, you can only move in like 6 different directions.
yeah. I
I've
heard
never
that.
actually played them, so sorry if
Yeah,
for all the 1 and 2 lovers out there, but I'm sure it's a great game. But
yeah. Tell me why it's great. I want to. Should I actually play it? Is it worth it? I mean, come on.
you know your thing about like needing to play from 1 like
Mhm.
chronologically, I was going to do that with the Witcher series because like Witcher 3 was out and people were talking about this game's freaking great, so I was like, I heard 1 and 2 of those are
Man,
good games. I've got them on a humble bundle.
yeah,
So let me play Witcher 1, and ooh boy, oh boy, that's not for me.
yeah. It's rough.
Yeah.
Story wise,
Uh-huh.
it's the one series that I would say absolutely. If you're just looking for like the all together story, yeah, dude, go for it. But if you're looking to just sit down and have free time and enjoy yourself, don't
Uh-huh.
do it.
Yeah.
Um, 2 was pretty good. Um,
Yeah, I think it seems like they kind of figured out how to make the game more like
yeah,
kind of
bango.
playable.
Yes.
Yeah.
3 is still the best.
Hmm.
There's been rumors that they're going to make another one. The I played Witcher 2 and then Witcher 3, and I enjoyed 2, but I loved 3. I did not love it in the very beginning, like when I first got the game, which I think was close to like its own release date. And but at the time, that wasn't the style gaming that I liked. At
Mm-hmm.
that time, I had a lot more free time, so like there was a lot of like games where I was like, I really want to get into this stuff, kind of thing,
Right.
and it wasn't a game for me. But later, like only maybe a couple years ago, I actually went back and played like Witcher 3 and like all the way through. And I enjoyed all of it. It was fantastic. But that spawned me wanting to really dive into the lore, and that's when I went and I got the embarrassingly, I was like, "Oh, this was a book series." So I went and got all the books, and
Oh wow,
I
okay.
I listened to I did every single one of them on Audible. I spent like $70 just collecting them all. Because I'm at work, I got the headphone in, I'm listening to a story or
Yep,
something.
yep.
And every so often somebody looks at you, you got to bob your head like you listen to metal. But I'm just listening to Geralt, trying to get his romance on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but yeah, I went through and I loved all of it. And then the Netflix series came out, and as much as I love Henry Cavill and the story that they presented, yeah, they really strayed from it, and I really had a big problem with it. But I think it's just because like I'm so loyal to the original lore and the original story, like chronologically, that they're like 3 episodes in, and I'm like, you two weren't even close to here at this time. You know what I mean? Like, what is going on here? And it was
I
big
really
conflict.
I really wanted to like the show, but I couldn't really get into it. I just seemed there was a lot going on, a lot of characters. I couldn't keep track. I didn't
The
know.
show mashed everything
Yeah.
in so few episodes
Uh-huh.
that you're like, no, man. Like the first 2 books explains the first episode. So I'm like,
Wow.
yeah, because the first book is just it's almost like a collection of short stories.
Yeah, I started listening to also
Mm-hmm.
audiobook form. Couldn't quite get through it. So maybe you can convince me to give it another
Well,
try.
I give it time. It's rough. The first book is rough, and the thing that drove me crazy is that I listened to the same person reading the books. But what cracked me up is that the person reading the books could never completely figure out pronunciations of certain names.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah, so like he would never stick to one pronunciation. Like if it was right or wrong, didn't matter. It was like, for this book, I'm gonna call him Don Dillion.
Uh-huh.
And then the next book, we're gonna call him Don De Leon.
Oh, fancy.
And then they would call him Dandelion. And I'm like, man, I get what you're saying. Just pick one, because it's driving me crazy. Like,
no one had notes for this guy? Come on.
Not a clue. But
wow.
Story wise, absolutely fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, I feel like there's some cool kernels in there that I would like to find out more about, but it really felt like, yeah, a dude definitely wrote these books. I don't know.
Oh
It
yeah,
was just
100%. Yeah, no.
okay, yeah, another description of this woman's body.
As much as I would love to, say, be like, no, give him a chance. No, there's definitely like this guy was going through some stuff.
I need the like all like fighting monsters supercut form of the books, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it was always really funny because he would get to descriptions of fighting like what were they, like banshees or something. It would be like this demonic almost looking woman who would transform into just an absolute smoke show. So it'd be like a whole chapter talking about like how amazing and beautiful she is, and then it'd be like, and then she was batshit crazy, and you're like, all right, man, let's tone it down a little bit. Like,
yeah, I don't know much about the author of these books, but maybe he's got a problem with women. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. I think it was translated.
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't remember what the country of origin is.
Yeah, I know it definitely wasn't originally written in English.
No, so maybe that's what it's lost in translation. We got to learn freaking Dutch or something.
Was it Dutch?
No, it's not Dutch. Something like that. Something European. Who knows?
Oh man, I mean, there's there's been a lot of pretty decent video game adaptations into like TV shows and movies and stuff. Even just like top of the dome, Doom wasn't bad movie. Pretty good game. Wasn't a bad movie.
Yeah, that was. It's it's a fun movie. It's It's not.
Just
I
cast
don't
that
think
one out
it's
in the dark.
winning a lot of Grammy noms for that one. Not Grammy. That's music. Oscar noms for
Dude,
Doom. But hey, when it goes
Doom.
into first person mode, heck
Doom was
yeah.
my favorite song.
Sick soundtrack. Actually, Doom should be
It
winning
was pretty
Grammys.
sick, yeah.
Let's rip and tear
But
number one
then
track.
I feel like we haven't made games, or we haven't made like TV series or movies that we've all wanted from like games and stuff. Like I don't, I'm sure there's a few people who could back me on this one, but like a well made, lore sensitive like Legend of Zelda like thing would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'd almost say don't do it because I don't want you to ruin my love for it. You know.
But they aren't they? Aren't they
God, I
making a
don't.
Zelda
Are
movie?
they?
I think
Are they?
so, or a show or something. I don't know.
I've been hit with the April Fool's video or April Fool's trailer like too many times in a row. Right? Like I first saw it in like 2012, and I was like, "Oh my god, we're doing it! This is gonna be the best thing ever." And they're like, "Psych, idiot!" And I was like, "Oh, all right, great, thank you." You know.
Do we fact check on this podcast, or are we gonna?
Not a
No,
no,
okay.
no. I just spit information out there, and then eventually, hopefully, somebody will correct me, and then I can figure it out later.
Hey,
But
everybody out there in the future, let us know how the Zelda movie was. We'll take your call.
I, if there is, then awesome. I don't know that there is.
I think
but
once Nintendo got a taste of that Mario movie money, they're like, "Oh, we gotta milk this for all it's worth."
what'd you think of the Mario movie?
It was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a movie.
yeah. See,
Ate
that's
some
kinda,
popcorn, had a good time.
my kids liked it a lot.
Uh-huh.
The moment the movie started, I was like, oh, we're like just real plumbers. We're not even gonna do like you know what I
Right.
mean? Like this is like okay, sure, kind of thing. And then I enjoyed the little snippets of like Rainbow Road and the power ups and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it didn't quite hit me like a Mario movie.
Yeah, I mean, not like the
With
live action
the
Mario
live
movie. Now
action
that's a Mario
1998
movie.
one. No, that was where it was at, man. That was a great movie.
Yeah, that's watch the riff tracks on that one. That's a fun
Yeah.
watch. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think I'd like to go back and like just get that movie, just to
We
have it.
after so Corey and I took Aiden to watch the new Mario movie in the theaters, and I think that same week we're like, all right, we got to show him what our Mario
what
movie
we grew up
was.
on. Yeah.
It was he not a big fan. I don't
Just
think.
see an absolute disaster happen. Yeah.
So wild. I don't know what they were thinking. This like post-apocalyptic mushroom kingdom. It was
They're like, we're gonna
crazy.
do Mario, and like Mario. I'm like, we got this. All right. We're gonna make everybody mob bosses. Okay. Everything's gonna be underground and some real messed up sewer systems. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. That's the best. That's the best. So what else you playing? You guys do a lot of like Nintendo games?
We haven't really touched the Switch in a while.
Neither have I. I want to though. I want to get back into it.
Yeah, I think someday I'll beat Breath of the Wild. Got to find all those shrines first.
What about Tears of the Kingdom?
Once I beat Breath of the Wild, maybe I'll get to it. Add it to the list. Aiden is that's my son. He's on me all the time. He's like, when are you gonna beat Ganon in Breath of the Wild? Because I've done like all the dungeons and stuff. I could beat the game anytime I want to, but I don't want to leave that world yet. I want to go. I want to go find all those little Korok buddies.
Yeah. You can good luck because it was like what was it 998 in the first game, and then they were like, "Hey, what was the best part of Breath of the Wild?" And everybody's like, "Oh, was it?" And they're like, "We don't care. It was the Korok seeds." And everybody was like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "Well, you're in luck. For Tears of the Kingdom, we have 2,000."
Whoa! No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember for a while there was a couple people who were dedicated to finding all 2,000 to see if like are you aware of what you get when you find all the Korok seeds in the first one?
No.
Okay, do you want to know? Because I won't spoil it if you don't want to.
Yeah, I'm not. I do not have the time to find all those
Okay.
Koroks. Just let me have it.
I don't want to disappoint you that bad. It is a golden turd. Not even joking. It's not something that looks like it is just a golden poop. And that is your reward for
Wow.
spending 1,000 hours
Well,
looking for 998 seeds.
so you should love this, Josh. You want to play the most
Mm-hmm.
difficult, hardest version of a game to get useless golden reward at the end
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, but at least that one's dice. This one you don't do anything with. At least I don't know what you can do with it.
Yeah. So the lore there is that the Korok seeds are poops. Is that
I
right?
have no idea.
I
I don't know what
think
the lore is.
I think that's what I think you're collecting Korok poops.
That's so disappointing. God, man, I had some bigger hopes.
Yeah, actually, talking about this now, maybe I ought to revisit Breath of the Wild now that Against the Storm has broken me of my completionist habits. Maybe now this new Evan could go play Breath of the
There you
Wild, and
go.
I could just I could be Ganon. I could do that. I don't
Well,
need to find every heart piece, right?
yeah.
Josh, please tell me I don't have to find them all.
I didn't.
Whew, okay, I can do that. Maybe
Yep.
that's my goal. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, I found that I've gotten to the point where I try to enjoy every moment that I can with the game because I'm going somewhere with that one. I have raging ADHD and have a beautiful neurospicy brain, so sometimes I just kind of play the game where I chase the dopamine. And I just enjoy the shit out of the game as long as I can stay focused on it and really really enjoy it because
Mm-hmm.
I know that eventually something else is going to come along and it's going to take my fixation and I'm going to hyperfixate on that for a little while. And so
Mm-hmm.
Tears of the Kingdom is kind of the same way. I played it a lot and I did what I could, and I really really enjoyed it. I think in my opinion, it is Breath of the Wild times two. It's just
Wow.
that good and
That's
better.
that's twice as much Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's twice as much Korok seeds. There
Makes sense.
is it's really really fun. Matt Mercer actually plays Ganon.
Oh
So
wow.
I know they actually gave voices in this version, so it's pretty good, really good. Did I beat it? No. But I also have the same problem. I don't want to leave the world yet, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
I just went exploring, and I have a really bad habit playing certain games where I don't know why, but I feel the need to make as much in-game currency as possible. Like to the point where like I will break a game for myself. Uh because I'll find a way to make in a just a stupid amount of money.
Uh-huh.
And to the point where like there is no challenge anymore because I can just go buy stuff. Fallout 4
Mm.
was probably one of the first games that I truly like had a game breaking moment.
Got a
Because
lot of
I learned that in the original settlement that you start the game in, you take in settlers and then you kind of like bring the morale up by like making beds and making sure that like the shelters and everything like looks nice. You're basically making it more of like a living space so people
mm-hmm.
feel like they're safe and everything, right? Doing so, you're in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where water is not super like what's the word, relevant. It's not.
Available?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I was looking for a different, fancier word. But yeah, it's not readily available.
Hey, all
It's a
right.
combination. It was in there.
High five.
Man, nailed it. So if you find purified water, it sells really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get the components, you can create these like water filtration systems, and then
Oh,
you just
okay.
set them in the water, and it's supposed to keep the morale of your settlers up, and then you can also drink the purified water to gain health. But if you overproduce water, then you can just sell it for a stupid profit. to the point where like I was like maybe 3/4 of the way through the game, and I'm just buying these like nuke ammo like it was nothing. So like I go up to these like bosses and monsters and stuff, and I'm just like, frame rates going absolutely nuts. The picture can't keep up because I'm just blasting bombs all over the place. I got nothing. I don't need other ammo. I'm just nuking everything.
So that's what Nestle's doing, buying up water rights to sell it so they can buy infinite mini nukes.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
knew
sure.
that was an evil corporation. Got down to the bottom of their evil schemes.
Yeah, but
We're on to you, Nestle.
I ended up doing the same thing with No Man's Sky. You ever play that one?
A little bit, yeah.
Yep, that's all you need.
Yeah, I flew around, saw some planets. That's pretty cool. Look at that little funny creature.
That's the game.
Yeah,
doesn't really go on much farther than that, but yeah, it's. I did the same thing. I found that eventually you could combine two elements. I think it was like oxygen and salt or something like that, and then you could
air.
or chlorine or something. But you could create another element, but then you just take that element and put it back into the same machine, and it would basically just like duplicate as long as you had like oxygen, which you just find anywhere. It's oxygen.
It's
just
out there, people.
Yeah, just go. Yeah, I don't know if you know about this. But yeah, I just kept doing it. I just had like an infinite amount of money. So then it wasn't like I was like trying to do things so that I could upgrade ships. I was getting to the point where I was scrapping ships just so that I could buy the one that happens to be over there. I just found a new ship that looks fun. And I'm like, bam, there you go,
There is a certain joy to breaking a game, to just absolutely trivializing any of the difficulty in it. Like,
yeah.
I get that. That is fun. I usually do that through just over leveling. I would just grind, and I'm like, level 100 fighting little peons.
Yeah, I did that a lot in to almost kind of go full circle in was it Elden Ring, like the Dark Souls like franchise. I mean, you could really farm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To just get levels and stuff. And it's almost hard to tell if this was just like if they designed it to be like that. They were like, hey, some people are going to struggle. We're going to need some like really thick, easy like farming areas or something. Or if we just, gamers are being gamers and they just happen to find, those areas and stuff. But yeah, I did the same thing, like to the point where like you almost had to over level just so that you could compensate not being that good at the game.
Yeah, I was
what I mean?
I was just thinking maybe I'm not that good at Dark Souls. I had the patience to grind levels and just hey, it turns out it's not that hard when your health bar goes all the way across the screen.
Nothing makes me feel worse about playing like Dark Souls games when I'm like fully geared up. I got all my weapons and stuff like going max plus this plus that kind of thing. And then I'll go and watch like a speed run video where this guy's got like a stick, a shield, and underwear, and he's just blasting through the game. And I'm like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, speed runners, that's a whole other species.
I tried it a couple of times.
Oh yeah, on which games?
It was Call of Duty's Zombies, where you had to get. It was back when they would start. It's like a couple games ago where it actually started like each level almost had its own story. So you like had to do like I think you started out on this it's got a plane that's crashed. It's been a while. I can't remember the name of the map, but there's a plane that's crashed in the middle of it, and then you had to get you had to find a way to get like the wonder weapon, and then you had to go down and turn all like the generators and stuff on, and like I had watched so many YouTube videos on like people like doing the speed runs to the point where I memorized every step.
And there's a lot of steps in these things.
Oh, man.
It's like you gotta go down the hallway, find there's a teddy bear, not that teddy bear, the one next to it. You gotta click A on that while crouching, spin around, and then you get the circuit, which goes into the circuit board, and you talk to a guy, gives you a code, and then you run back upstairs. You have to knife the zombie once. It's stupid.
I mean, you're not even that far off. Like there was like you had to like grab something, go into like the ether world, and you had to talk to like these ghosts in like these specific orders, wherever before the timer ran out. So you got pulled out of the ether, and if you didn't do it fast enough, and it was like if you did it at a certain angle super fast, you could like skip the dialogue, so you had like a couple extra seconds to like get to the next one or whatever. And it was ridiculous. And I got to the point where I could do that map and that map alone in like 18 and a half minutes or something.
Wow.
And it was like, I remember it becoming such a big thing when like the update would come out. And they're like, they changed this thing in the zombies, and then the whole zombies community were like, okay, here's how we're gonna get around it. Here's how we do this. Like, this is the new strategy. We're all working on it, kind of thing. And I think that was the last time I really tried to like speed run something. And after that, I was like, man, it's all stories for me. Like, I got to get back into like, I want the tales. I want the long con games. You know, I want that real nice story. You know, but yeah.
You know, earlier when you were talking about not wanting to leave a game world, I feel like when I would beat a game when I was young, like, you know, one summer I finally beat Majora's Mask, and I was like, saw credits, and you see all the characters you interacted with. I was sad. I didn't want. I was like, all these people I'd helped and gotten to know, and just like, well, it's just over now. And then with Ocarina of Time, you just get like a frozen screen at the end, and that's it. It's just like,
well, Ocarina of Time was I think the ending was really cool because it's the one game that branches all the other lores.
oh no, we're not getting into Zelda lore,
man.
are we?
Oh, man.
No, all those wacky timelines.
I can't even get into it that heavy on this one because I think on the last like episode, one of the episodes with Noah, I info dumped and it was intense. But yeah, when Majora's Mask, do you remember the ending you got? Because there's I think the ending is the same, but the way you get the ending is different.
The only thing that really stuck with me from the ending was just, it's like you see what's the main little hub city, like Termina?
I don't remember.
I don't know. You see the areas around there, and there's all the little NPCs, and
yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember what the actual final boss fight was like, or how we stopped the moon from crashing.
Yeah, the moon's coming down, and you know he had a name. It was like Skid or something like that. But you know, wearing the Majora's Mask and
Skull Kid.
Yeah, that's what I said. Skid.
No, shorten it. Yeah, all right. Everyone in the know goes it's Skid.
I'm sorry. Everybody else goes with Skull Kid. Like, come on.
Just for all the listeners out there, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Everyone knows it's Skid, but in case you didn't,
yeah, come on. It's gamer alert. All right. Yeah. But there was a moment where if you collected every single if you collected every mask in the game and then brought it back to the guy, you did?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, completionist.
I've got a confession to make though.
So you got the deity mask.
I had a Nintendo Power subscription, and they had a walkthrough for like the first half of the game.
I wanted that so bad. I was never allowed to get it.
Oh, missing out, man. Good times.
Did you ever have Game Shark?
Oh yeah,
I'm derailing this like hard, but did you ever have a Game Shark?
I did, and I totally bricked it.
Yeah,
I had one for the N64, and you could like, I don't know how these things work, but you can like find new codes. I would go on like, you know, cheatcc.com back in the day on my dial-up internet.
No idea how that worked.
And you would like enter in like there's a string of numbers, and it would mess with the game's memory or something. So I was like, I don't need to find these actual codes. I'll make my own code. I don't do this. So I just punched in some random shit, and the Game Shark never worked again. But I had some fun with that thing while it lasted.
See, I always got to play. The only like I guess bit that I got to experience with it was for the Game Boy Color, and we had it for Pokemon, and it was like there was always that like there was this kid I went to school with. And he brought his game in, and we were like, we're going to play, right? We're like, let's battle. You know, we got the little cord.
Oh, the link cable,
like, it's like 7 inches long, so you got to be like right up in each other's faces and stuff. And then we'd start the battle, and like, you know, I got this like level 58, you know, like Charizard, you know, rocking stuff, right? And I got my whole roster stuff. And he's dropping every single starter plus Mewtwo and like some other nonsense. And they're all level 100. And I'm like, no, you didn't. I'm like, you are a liar, man. Like, no, man, I put the time in. I trained all these. And I'm like, bullshit.
No, you've been surfing up and down the coast of Cinnabar Island. We know what's up. You fought Missing No.
What is going on here? He's like, I would trade it to you. And I was like, why? You're just going to get another one tonight. Like, Come on. Yeah, I
So what,
wish.
he was a Game Shark kid. Is that what
Yeah,
it
man.
was?
He was just getting
Okay.
typing in all the stuff or whatever, and just get like everything was like level 100 or whatever. It's like
Uh-huh.
I'm like, man, that's you don't even get to like. Where's the enjoyment of the game, man? Like you didn't complete anything. You just kind of you just downloaded it, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of funny with Game Shark. You're essentially making your time with the game shorter. Like, I could have fun playing this game, or I can just beat it right away.
Yeah, I don't.
But it is, it is fun too. Like I said, it's fun to break a game
Yeah, it
sometimes.
is.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this one last question,
Oh,
because
okay.
this has been a reoccurring topic on my mind through this whole project. Um, in your opinion, video games these days, excuse me, do you think that companies have become so large that they're almost producing uh quantity over quality type of video games these days because of maybe a company gets so big, you have so many employees, you have so many expenditures, like you have to be able to make your money back.
Gotta be a hit.
uh and yeah, it's got to be a hit, so you have to make money. So if
Mm-hmm.
the game itself isn't great, we got microtransactions and all these things. Like, so do you think like we've kind of steered away these developers from the quality games we got like when we were younger to just the quantity of games that we have today?
That's, I think we're in an interesting time where that definitely exists. I think
Mm-hmm.
you are right. There are a lot of these game studios that are just massive, and it takes millions of dollars and thousands of hours of people working to make games. So it has to succeed. So they're not taking a lot of risks, but we also in this time we have a lot of indie hits, games that just come out of nowhere and they're just like catch fire. Everybody loves it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting time where you have some of both, where you have the risk averse companies who kind of end up making the same Assassin's Creed over and over again.
Don't even get me started.
But also you have these little surprise indie hits that
Mm-hmm.
maybe just a few people, like Stardew Valley you mentioned earlier. It's like, I think one or two people making almost this entire game, and it's
Yeah, I don't know,
amazing.
that does sound right though.
So yeah, I guess you got to have both. And I some of those big games are great,
Mm-hmm.
but you're missing something when you stop taking risks and you just make a game based on what everyone likes. It's like
Mm.
kind of something I think about sometimes, is like the algorithmness of
Yeah.
everything, where things are designed to be exactly what you want. They have the data, they know what we like, and they can give it to us again and again and again because it's the things we love. We're going to buy it, but it's not going to give us that surprise thing we didn't know we liked yet.
Yeah.
So I think that by using the quote unquote algorithm to
Sure.
figure out exactly what to give us, we're not gonna get the surprise that we end up loving and we never knew we would. But like I say, I think that still exists, and it seems to be catching on more and more. So there's room for everything out there. I don't know the
Yeah, I really like the way that you put that, and
no
I
thanks.
I really like the I don't think I've actually thought of it before that you really do lose something when you take away the risk factor.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like McDonald's is it's fucking delicious. I want a
Yeah.
McDonald's cheeseburger. I could always eat one,
Fucking
but
delicious.
because they have scientifically figured out exact amount of sugar and
Yeah,
salt and fat to put in this food,
right.
it's nothing tastes
There's
as
no
good as that.
variations. Yeah.
But so at home, Corey, she might make me a freaking acorn squash stuffed with like apple and feta and like quinoa. It's like, McDonald's is never going to give me a freaking squash stuffed with delicious
That's true.
fruit and veggies. Like, I would
Yeah.
never think to try that myself, but
Yeah.
That was a damn good dish. Thank you, Corey. That was real good. Thank you for surprising me with a new thing that
Yep.
McDonald's would never get you. So
they will give you a grimace shake and have the internet break over it.
Yeah, you know what? Corey's never made me a grimace shake.
What is going
Wow.
on?
Not even a Hamburglar shake.
Well, yeah. What are you talking about?
I thought I could come up with something funny on the fly, but I couldn't.
Evan,
Joshua,
before we end here, we're just about here out of time. I am trying to expand a lot of my horizons, trying to learn, see, do new things.
Are we about to kiss?
I mean, we cover the camera. What is something that you could recommend? Something that I could try out. Like I said, part of this whole project is I want to expand my horizons. I want to maybe do or try new things. See some movie or TV show or game that I wouldn't normally get into. I kind of want to just kind of check out new things. So do you have any recommendations that I could maybe look into?
Yeah, you know what? This summer, Josh, let's go kayaking. I've got a couple of kayaks. I know some great spots out on the river, and
man,
we've talked. Josh has had a traumatic
I've had
boating experience.
One pretty intense experience. I'll tell you someday.
But let's get out there. We'll take kayaks out on the river. We'll see some cool birds, look some trees.
All right. You know what? Yeah. I'm not gonna. I can't literally have an idea for a project and go expand my horizons. I go, no thanks.
Whoa, not expanding them that far.
What kind of expansion are we talking? No, all right. Yeah, I'll do that. I would like that. That'd be a lot of fun.
You know what? I don't want to force you into a scary situation.
Publicly announcing that one, sure. Yeah, whatever.
But you also go out to House Rock Overlook here in southern Lancaster County. Beautiful. Go out and you can look at the river from up high. You don't have to be in it.
Yep, I've done that a couple of times. It's beautiful.
Oh well, so I don't know.
We actually, as much as I like to think we don't, we actually have a lot of very beautiful areas and sites to see. In PA, it's borderline very beautiful.
Borderline. There's.
Yeah. I said what I said.
Borderline.
I said what I said.
Respect. We have beautiful parks out here.
Yeah. All right. I said what I said.
Expand your horizons, Josh. It's beautiful.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today. I look forward to the next time we do this, which I definitely need to get you back to have a conversation with me, you, and Noah, and I would love to dive deep into some D&D stuff.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, we didn't really touch on D&D too much.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to talk about, and I think it would be very, very, very fun to have a full conversation with the three of us. So, yeah. So thank you once again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and I will see you on the next one.
Bye, everybody.